Virtual environments allow you to create isolated spaces for the libraries for each of your Python projects in order to prevent conflicts between these dependencies. As a beginner programmer, it may be hard to appreciate the usefulness of these environments, but they will save you a lot of pain as you go through your programming career. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to create virtual environments using Venv and VS Code. So let's get started. So typically, each workspace or each project or each folder is going to be associated with a specific virtual environment. You may have already created the first Python workspace in a previous lesson, but we're not going to use this one. Let's create a fresh one. I'm going to put it on my desktop, but you can put it anywhere you like, but it should be easy to find. I'll create a new folder here, and I'll call it Graph Courses Python. And this is going to be my primary folder for most of the work in this course, and I recommend that you use it the same way as well. And I can open up this folder in VS Code either by clicking on this file menu option and clicking open folder and then selecting that folder, or I could just drag the folder into this main editor pane of VS Code and it will switch over to that folder. So do whichever of those is more comfortable for you. And in here, I'm going to create a new script called test cowsay. Test cowsay. And you'll see why it's called test cowsay in a second. So in the script, let's just type a very simple piece of Python code to make sure that everything works. We're going to type print 2 plus 2, and we're going to click on that button to run it, the Run Python File button at the top right. And we can see in our terminal that the output of 4 is printed. Now we're going to try to import a specific package called cowsay. So import cowsay, and we're going to try to use that to print something to our console. So I'm going to type cowsay.cow, and then in here I'll put the string hello world. And as you can see, Python already underlines cowsay because it guesses that there's a problem. So it's giving us a clue that there's an issue here. But let's try and run this script again by clicking the Run Python file. And for most of you, unless you have previously installed this package for some reason, it's going to say no module named cowsay is available. So we need to install this library for it to become accessible. And now we could install this library into our global Python instance. That means that any project will be able to access that specific library. But that's not what we're going to do. Instead, we're going to create an isolated environment just for this project, and we're going to install cowsay into that specific virtual environment. And the main reason for these virtual environments is that packages or libraries in Python tend to have very many versions. And so if we install cowsay now, and let's say it's on version 1.0, and we expect some certain behavior from it for this our specific project, and then 1 year down the line, you create a new project and you install cowsay again, and for that one, you need maybe the more modern version of cowsay. If you reinstall cowsay at that point, you may break this original instance where we used cowsay. So we want our older project and our newer project to point at isolated instances of the cowsay package to prevent any version conflicts. So with that long monologue out of the way, let's now create our virtual environment so we can install the cowsay package. So the first step to create the virtual environment where we're going to install cowsay is to go to our command palette here, click on Show and Run Commands after clicking in that search box, and then I'm going to search for Environment, and it shows us this option, Python Create Environment. We click on that, and we're going to use Venv, which is the built-in virtual environment manager. And at this point, it will ask you to select the interpreter path. So to select the specific Python instance that we want to build this virtual environment based off of. So if you have multiple Python installations, you will see all of them listed here. And you should make sure you click on 3.12.0 since that is the one we are using for the course. So I'll go ahead and click that. And after a few moments, we should now see a .venv subfolder inside of our Graph Courses folder. And if we click into this lib subfolder within .venv, we're going to see the different packages or libraries that are currently installed in this virtual environment. At the moment, it's just pip. Pip happens to be the package that you need to install other packages. So it's nice that we have that built in by default. So now that we've created this virtual environment, there's another step that we should do, and that is to select an interpreter, to select specifically the interpreter within Venv. So in order to do this, I'm going to go again to my command palette. So in the search bar, click on Show and Run Commands, and then I'm going to search for interpreter. And the option I want is Python Select Interpreter. And as you can see, there are multiple Python instances we could use. We want to use specifically the one that is within Venv. So I click on that one. And now we are all set. So we've created the environment. We've selected an interpreter. Now we can go ahead and install our packages. We're going to use the pip install command within the terminal. So first of all, close the old terminal because this current terminal is not yet using Venv. And to open a new terminal, you're going to search for the top menu bar item. That is terminal. In my case, it's hidden under this more options because I'm super zoomed in. But search for terminal there and then click on new terminal. And if you hover over the terminal icon, so for Windows, it's PowerShell, but for Mac, it may be ZSH or Bash. If you hover over this icon, you should see Python activated environment for Venv. So that confirms that this terminal is using our virtual environment, our Venv. So finally, we can install cowsay, pip install cowsay. We run that, and if you pay attention now to the lib folder of your Venv, you'll see that cowsay has been added. So now that this is done, we can try to rerun this test cowsay.py script. So I'm going to click again on run Python file. And now we get a successful running of that code. We can see our nice cow saying hello world. So those are a lot of steps to remember. Here's a simple acronym that I've tried to come up with to help you remember these. So whenever you're starting a new project, you need to follow the FEIL or the fail steps. If you don't follow these fail steps, then you are more likely to end up with a failure of a project. So follow FEIL. So first you create a new folder. Okay? After you've created that folder, you open it up in VS Code using the menu option, file, and then open folder. Then you're going to create a new virtual environment with Venv. You do that using the command palette. So you search here for environment and you click on create environment, create with Venv. Once that's done, you use the Python select interpreter command to select that Venv environment. You do that again here with the command palette and you click on select interpreter, click on, and then once that's done, you can now go ahead and install your libraries in the terminal with pip install. Okay, so folder, then environment, then interpreter, then library, FEIL to avoid future failure. To get some practice with this, I now want you to reopen your first Python workspace in VS Code, then create a virtual environment, select your interpreter, and then install packages into that. So pause the video and try that out. So now I'll go ahead and demo that. Let me open up that folder, open the first Python workspace. We can verify that it doesn't currently have any Venv, and we can try to maybe import cowsay, and we should see that that will not work because we haven't yet installed cowsay into this environment, so that doesn't work yet. And so let's go through the FEIL acronym. So we've created a folder. Let's now do the E, which is create an environment. So I search in my command palette for environment and I click on Python create environment and I use the Venv option. I select Python 3.12.0 since that's the version of Python that we're using in this course. So that may take up to a minute. And now I go to the I of FEIL, which is to point the interpreter to my Venv. So I search again in my command palette for interpreter and select interpreter and I select 3.12.0, which is Python Venv. And now I'm on to the L of FEIL or fail, which is for library. So now I can install my libraries, but I need to first close up this terminal. So I close the existing terminal since those aren't built into Venv. And let's open a new terminal with the terminal and new terminal option. And now let's try pip install cowsay. As a bit of a side note, there is this bug currently with VS Code where sometimes pip is not available in the Venv environment. And then I have to restart VS Code to get this to work. So just in case you run into that issue, I wanted to mention it now. Okay. But now we have run pip install cowsay successfully. And so we should be able to run this script also successfully. Okay, so indeed it ran successfully, but I forgot to print anything. So let's print with cowsay, cowsay.cow, and let's say congratulations. Let's run that again. And the cow says, congratulations to you. So now let's open up our main workspace, our Graph Courses Python workspace. I'm going to drag this again into my Visual Studio Code. And what we're going to do now is install most of the packages that we need for this course. Depending on your internet speed and the speed of your computer, this installation may take a while. It could take up to 20 or 30 minutes. So plan accordingly. So I'm going to open up a new terminal. Let's open a new terminal. And let me just quickly make sure by hovering over this PowerShell icon, or for Mac, this will be ZSH or Bash. Let's just quickly make sure that Venv is activated in this environment. Indeed it is. And let's install a number of packages. So I'm going to type pip install, and be careful not to have any typos in here. So first I do plotly, and then pandas. And the reason I say don't make any typos is that it's hard to edit things here. Because you're typing directly into the terminal, you can only use forward and backward keys. Okay, so let's say pandas, and then next we say Jupyter. So plotly, as you know, is for plotting, pandas is for data frame manipulation, and these remaining ones are going to be used by Quarto. So Jupyter, and then IPyKernel, and then also Kaleido, and finally iTables. Okay, so run that to install those packages. And be careful not to terminate this while it's still running. You'll know that it has stopped running when you're able to press return in your terminal. At the moment, if I press return, nothing happens. So it's still running, and indeed you can see the list of packages or the list of libraries is still being updated. If it still hasn't finished after like an hour, then it may actually be frozen, and you could just close your Visual Studio Code, restart it, and try again. So congratulations, you have now learned how to create a workspace, set up a virtual environment with Venv. You've learned how to point your VS Code to the Python interpreter within the .venv folder, and you've seen how to install packages into Venv and use those in your Python scripts. Keep repeating FEIL to yourself, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
For more resources, visit our website, where you can track your progress, access interactive quizzes and lesson notes, and connect with our teachers and other learners like you. And if you'd like a more guided experience, we also offer live online bootcamps with expert help. So join us at thegraphcourses.org to start your learning journey today.